Another day. Boy, today was really a busy day, a hectic day. I slept in this morning. I was gonna think about playing some tennis at 5:15, but it's getting too dark, so I got up around just after 5, and we decided we're gonna skip till tomorrow. So tomorrow we have tennis, biking, and we have the stairs today afterwards if this webinar all goes well. So we have lots to do, lots to talk about. And how's everybody's week? How was your week, Judy?
It was good.
Good. What about you, Paul? So you're learning new things about the eyes?
Yeah, I'm learning a lot about the eyes right now. I've been volunteering, doing a rotation in a ophthalmology clinic right now, and it's a whole new world. It's just so much content learning, and I'm going home and studying every day.
How do we keep our eyes safe and healthier?
There's countless things that we can do. It's making sure you go for routine follow-ups, because a lot of the time, either people don't have an optometrist or they don't get their eyes checked, and some things can start accumulating at the back of their eyes over the years without anyone getting anything checked. And it's important to go for some routine checkups, and always, especially with COVID right now, keep your hands away from your eyes, and try not to rub your eyes too much. So
I'm guilty.
A lot of things that you can do to stay safe.
All right. And let's get the next slide there, Stuart.
It's Judy doing slides for today.
Oh, Judy? Okay, put the first slide up there, Judy.
Yeah. So basically, this presentation is based around working with your doctor, especially during this COVID era. So this is just an overview of some of the things I want to cover today. But before we do that, I believe that Dr. Kearney wants to share a few stories.
Okay, just put the first slide. We'll go for the. Can you advance the slides?
More slides?
Yeah, I want to see some slides, pictures. Is that this new era about getting things right and looking at care is that we now being forced into a virtual care model, and it has some pluses and minuses. So I'm waiting, whenever you get your first slide there, Judy, can you just advance it?
This is the first slide. Can you see it?
I can't see any slides. Can anybody see any slides?
Yes, I can.
So what should I do?
You might want to exit and maybe re-enter.
Okay, so I'm going to exit. I'll be right.
Yeah, technical difficulties happen to the best of us. You never know with technology these days. We rely on it so much, but when technology stops working, it's like the world comes crashing down. So Dr. Kearney will be right back with us in a couple of seconds. So Judy, what are you talking about today?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to be talking about working with your doctor during the COVID era. I know because of many restrictions, not everybody can go into the clinic. It's very unsafe to do so. And so being able to work with your doctor as best as you can from at home or going into the clinic when necessary, but in a very safe manner so that you can keep yourself safe and that you can keep all the clinic workers safe and the people around you safe. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about our clinic. And so I've been volunteering at this clinic for like the past 3 years. And especially with this new protocol and everything that's been put into place, I could see a lot of our procedures are like what we're used to being stopped and us needing to adapt to a different system. And I can definitely say that comparing the whole clinic situation from March until now, so it's been a couple of months since we were doing this, we've been working hard, put in new protocols and trying to do our best to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. And we are exploring a lot of different avenues to be able to interact with patients and give all of the patients the care that they do need.
So I'm back again. Can you hear
Welcome
me?
back, Dr. Cunha. Yeah. Do
Okay,
you see the
so
slides now?
I got the slides now. You can see that
Okay.
all sorts of things to learn about technology. We're all getting better. Are we going to start off with the stories of the day, or how are we going to do this?
Oh yeah, we can stories. I don't think we saw it then.
Okay. Is this the first slide of the day?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So interesting times in clinic right now is that on your left, there's a young lady who's in her 60s, is going mountain climbing, and she actually spent some time at an orphanage. So you know, in your 60s and 70s, you can still be active. And wonderful pictures that she showed. On your right, you can see that interesting masks and things of that nature. And what we're saying is that we're all, you know, when should you get proper tested, and when should you, you know, how's this world going to change in some way? And you can see that how long are these masks going to stay? And we're now having these mandatory mask rules. And went to a really good talk this week, and learned that you know, when we first started, masks weren't such a great idea. Now the feeling has shifted, and you can see as information changes, we change our minds and our behavior. So I had one patient call me today, or called me yesterday, and said, I don't want to wear a mask. It's all a big fraud. This is not a fraud. There's been 15 million people that worldwide been infected so far with COVID, many not. And, you know, people are dying, not everyone. And there's ways of learning to be healthier. So one of the things you can see is that the more active you are, the skinnier you are. So I'm working on getting skinnier. And this week I'm 172 pounds. So I actually lost a little bit of weight this week. I'm still going for 165. And in that I used a little bit of Ozempic to help me, and it's curbing my appetite a little bit. And just keep working hard, get there. Next slide, please. And you can see that we have both young and old people working together. And you know, I keep saying this is, as we get older, computers are tough. So right now I was trying to use this WebEx, and I had some trouble. I had to exit, start again, and I found one of my students in the corner to make sure we get this thing started properly. So don't be afraid to ask for help with all this new technology. Sonia's been working very hard. She's actually calling up people on Friday nights and Saturday mornings, helping people with technology. And we're gifted to have about 50 people to help us. And so they help me, and they'll help you. Remember, young people are skinnier than we are, but we're going to get skinnier to catch up. And you can see that we can have matching masks right now. You can see on the left there's a clots mask, and then you have a regular surgical mask. And basically, right now, wear any mask possible that you can. Is that I'm really impressed with the secretions that are decreased. The number one reason why you wear a mask is to protect somebody else. It probably provides some protection to yourself. I still scratch my face and things of that nature, and I got started to work about that. So Paul tells me not to rub my eyes. I got itchy eyes just this time of year, so I got to keep working on it. So thank you, Paul, for reminding me. Let's find ways to protect all parts of our bodies. Next slide, please. And this is Linden Park. And we meet for tennis, and we meet for cycling. So this is Sunday. So on Sunday it was a cloudy day, and Mike called me up. Should we go? And I said, yeah, well, let's go. It poured rain, but it was a warm rain, and so it saved you from taking a shower. No, just kidding. But so we're going to be out there this Saturday and Sunday at 11 o'clock. Please join us. And next slide, please. A little bit early in the morning time. Look at this, it's 6:30 in the morning. It's tennis time. And we're having different people show up at different times. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be out there. And, people are saying is that I've gained weight during COVID because the gym is closed. My answer for that, if the gym was open, you'd probably still gain weight. So find different ways to learn how to be healthier and to work harder. I'm working hard, and we're all working hard too as well. So please think of different solutions and different opportunities. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So, talking about this. Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, so firstly, I was talking a little about this while you were exiting and re-entering Dr. Cornu. But I first want to introduce this concept of this new healthcare system. So I know that Dr. Cornu has mentioned that he's been working really hard transitioning from in-clinic appointments to mainly phone appointments right now. And so our clinic setup has all completely changed. Our waiting room looks very different from what you're probably used to. The electronic system that we use to keep all of your charts have greatly changed as well. So that organization is something that we've been trying to work on and adapt to as well. And I think something that we really want to emphasize here is that we want to prioritize the concept of being able to work together. So especially in this time and era, being able to work together because we're all experiencing this. And so being understanding, providing feedback as to how we can improve is something that we really value. And also we've been working really hard to adjust our clinic so that it does adhere to all of the public standards. So a certain amount of people in a room, making sure that we are socially distancing, and we want to make sure that everyone does feel very safe. So if you do come into the clinic for mandatory testings, then we encourage everyone, well, now it is mandatory, but to wear masks inside, just so that you protect those around you and you work to protect yourself. And I just want to reiterate that this is part 2 of preparing for your visit. I believe that Paul and Dr. Cornu did this pretty early on, maybe in April, I believe. And I could say that since April into July right now, there has been drastic differences in how we first started adapting to this new system that we have developed right now. And so I will be going into that a little bit more.
So message number 1 is take a look at the first part 1, about the form that we created, and also some of the steps. So everything's evolving right now. So this is part 2 of the interaction, because the healthcare system is now going to be a blend between virtual medicine, which is phone calls, and maybe things like these types of platforms, from Zoom to more secure ones called Medios that we're starting to experiment with, and to in-person visits. And so we have to find out what your preferences are and what's good for you. Now, some people have gotten very mad because their significant other cannot come into the clinic. I understand. And so sometimes you can bring your significant one into clinic. Many times you cannot, because the more people we have, the more places of contact. So as you know, is that all pandemics to date have gone through multiple phases. I'm afraid we're going to go through phase 2 of COVID here in Ontario and around the world. And phase 1 was not as bad as anticipated initially. When COVID first started, I think we were all taken off guard. Was it just going to be a bad cold? It can be a bad cold, but it can be a lot more to that for many individuals. So you're learning to take initiative. So when I heard about this COVID situation, my reaction is this virus is going to be here for quite some time. Yes, there's over 115 vaccines that are going to be tested. Will these vaccines be effective or not? Only time will tell. But in the meantime, I'm going to be in better shape. So the more you weigh, the higher your blood pressure, the more diabetes, the more heart disease you have, the more lung disease you have, the higher your risk. And so right now is that this is a time to actually lose weight and to become healthier. So people say be safe, but be stronger. So I'm stronger, we're getting stronger, you're getting stronger too as well. So think about that. And if you think someone else should be in the room with you at the time of your visit, have a discussion. A lot of times they'll be on a cell phone that can be contacted. Also, if you're at home, many people need a lot of help. So if you have someone that you love and care for, help them be healthier and help them interact with their healthcare provider. Go ahead there, Judy.
Yeah, so something that I know that we emphasize a lot, and something that I do want to re-emphasize in this presentation, is the importance of knowing your medications. And if there are medication errors, there are very serious repercussions. So we do really emphasize this. This is due to a couple of reasons. So your medications or the medications that you're taking, there are many different sources. So there's your pharmacy that has access to your medication list, your family doctor, Dr. Kernu, and possibly other specialists who see you could all prescribe you different medications. And also there could be side effects depending on that medication. So knowing what side effects there are for the medications. In addition, so important to know what you're taking because there could be drug interactions. So if you're taking one medication, then your doctor has to be able to adjust and know all the medications that you are taking. So we are able to make sure that each of the medications that you're taking is compatible with each other. But if they don't know this and they don't have all of this information, and we could be making mistakes without even knowing. Additionally, something very, very important right now, and I can say this working at the clinic, is to know your pharmacy address, the fax number, and the name of your pharmacist. This is because right now, especially when we are encouraging to people stay at home as much as possible, we are right now at our clinic faxing over your prescription refills and prescription changes. And we need to be able to fax this to your pharmacy so that you are able to go and grab the right medication. But if there are confusions or miscommunications with this, then you would get mad and then we wouldn't know what the issue is. And so it's so, so important that you do have this information on you and you do share it with us.
So here's a situation that's happened quite a bit. So you get a request to from your pharmacist that you're running out prescriptions. So after discussion with yourself and see if it's still the appropriate medication, it gets faxed to your pharmacy. The problem is that you may have changed your pharmacy, and the pharmacy we have in our system is a different pharmacy. So I've had more than one occasion, I've been faxing medications to the wrong pharmacy because unknowing you're going to a different pharmacy. So, and the way our system works is that our way we recognize pharmacies is not one the corner store near Parkdale. I need to know the address of the pharmacy because our system searches by address. So if I know the address, we may have in our system already. So knowing the address would be very helpful. And again, every physician's practice will be somewhat different. Number two is that you should not be waiting for the pharmacist to say you're out of medications. We right now know that medication errors are common. You need to know how many prescription renewals you have on your bottle. It says you have 100 pills and how many renewals that you have. Don't wait till the end. Find out if that's the right thing. And for many medications, you need to have blood work done. I know people don't like to have blood work during the COVID situation, and many times we may be able to admit, but certain times you need to have blood work done. So those things are important to figure that out. What we're working very hard is be honest and be open. Now, here's the numbers in Ontario and around Canada is somewhere about a third of patients do not fill the prescription that's provided by a healthcare provider. I'll repeat that. A third of people in Ontario and Canada do not fill the prescription that was given by the doctor. And roughly 50% of people who have chronic diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stop their medications within 6 months to a year. And when I ask people, do you take your medications? Oh, yes, doctor. Well, you're not being honest. Here's an example that happened yesterday. So this person who's been taking cholesterol medications, their cholesterol last year was 3.66. This year, it's 5.66. Their weight hasn't changed that much. Their diet hasn't changed dramatically. Maybe they gained a few pounds because of COVID. And the person says they're taking their medications. I can tell you, the person's not taking their medications properly. I'm trying to work with you, but to work with me, you got to work with me. and you have to be honest and honest. If you don't want to take certain things or things, we discuss these things. So I want people who take a cholesterol pill to look at the webinar on cholesterol medications. It's really important to look at this. For blood results, Paul has done a wonderful webinar on how to monitor your health as an outpatient, including what's happening in the lab and how to get access to your information. You're now in an era where you need to be responsible for your health. We're going to make a lot more mistakes during this era. Is that talking to people by phone is not the same thing as a face-to-face conversation where you can actually develop a clinical impression. You get some ideas, so you have to be your eyes and ears and to be involved in this a lot more. So very fascinating with what's happening out there right now. And when I'm seeing too many people not getting in a fighting spirit to get healthier right now. So I'm encouraging is, listen, I know it's hard, but you know what? I'm having a lot of fun and trying to be healthy. I'm also tired. I'm overworked. Everybody feels overworked and underpaid and unappreciated. I appreciate effort and I appreciate honesty, and moving forward it's about this. So this is important. Now, we developed this email system called drkernew@232gmail.com. If you have any concerns, you can certainly call the office. You can certainly email that. Now, I think we're getting better at merging all this together, and we're still learning how to do that well. Part of the problem is that people are calling the same day, and we try to get on the phones about this, but our reality is this. We have to divert a lot of energy for screening, calling extra people. We're getting a lot more phone calls, and we cannot always be on the phone and screening people at the front desk. We usually have two people to do that, but one of the people involved, she has a young family at home that she can't get proper daycare for. So I can't penalize her for that, and I have to make, I have to work with her in her current environment. I hope people understand that we're all working hard. Everybody's working harder, but you know what? There's more productive work to do over here. So Judy's point about getting medications right is important. We're going to actually do a webinar in the future about medications. The common source of problems traditionally is medication errors. So you need to know exactly what pill you're taking. Most pills have two names, what doses you're taking, and we can help you understand what the pill's for, but you need to have some basic reading understanding yourself about this. So please make sure you know what you're doing. And to say that each doctor's list is different, absolutely, they're different. So it is your responsibility to be part of the solution versus part of the problem. I love a person saying, listen, I can be running out of pills in about 90 days from now. I had my blood work done. It's still the right medication for me for my cholesterol. I can deal with that. Versus it was that white pill that was prescribed by some doctor in the back seat of a car, and surely you must know. Well, got news for you. There's lots to work on that area. Yeah, we're all gonna get some problems, and from pronouncing names and getting them right or wrong. But this is important. Go ahead there, Judy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is very similar to what we were saying before. Being able to take control of your own health is so important. And some of the ways that we can do this is owning a blood pressure machine and a weight scale and a temperature measurement equipment. This is because, especially during our phone call visits, seeing how your blood pressure and weight are risk factors for your heart's health, we do ask for this, and this information is so important for Dr. Kearney to know. He puts each patient in their own context, and these are all just little bits of information that he needs to be able to draw your picture and provide the best care for you. And so, especially if you don't have a blood pressure machine, I suggest that it's a very, very good investment to get one and to measure your blood pressure. If you're having issues and you think that blood pressure might be the cause of it, then it's so easy to just take your own blood pressure right then and there, and be able to let Dr. Courtney know, like, oh, this was my blood pressure at this time. And so that would be a lot more accurate and a lot more information for Dr. Courtney to work off of. And so there are all of these tools that are in place for you to be able to get information about yourself. And very similar to our previous point, knowing your pharmacy and your blood work lab. I know that.
So we're just going to pause about blood pressure for a second. Now, I'd be curious to see if Paul or Erica or Judy or Stuart, which percentage of people will develop hypertension in their lifetime that are Canadians? What do people think?
Yeah, so I think Stuart, were you about to say something? That's all you.
I'll take a guess. I'll say close to 50, maybe.
Okay. So Paul, you be quiet for a second. I know you know the answer. Judy, what percentage of people develop hypertension in their lifetime?
Maybe 40.
Okay. What do you think, Erica? What percentage?
I'm gonna be hopeful and say 20%.
Okay. Paul,
a little less than 50.
Okay, Paul, what percentage?
About 90% of Canadians.
90% of us in this room will develop high blood pressure in your lifetime. I'll repeat that. 90% of us is estimated will develop high blood pressure in your lifetime. You usually get blood pressure as you get older in life. And the best way of measuring blood pressure is to measure at home, not on the doctor's office, not during a phone call during the doctor's visit. It's when you're relaxed. So there's a great webinar on blood pressure that's been done. Take a look at it. So you have to average a series of at least 3 blood pressure readings. And so, Paul, what you don't know yet is I was just listening to Hypertension Canada. They did their 2020 update, and Dr. Pratani, part of the group there, did a really nice presentation for McMaster Medical Grand Rounds. We're going to take that presentation and we're going to go through that as a group. But one of the things he stresses is that the best place to measure blood pressure is not in a doctor's office, not in front of a doctor, is at home. And one of the questions that just came up is, how do you measure blood pressure? Well, you measure blood pressure about 3 times in a relaxed environment. So we have a whole webinar on that. So I'll defer about that right now. So if you go anywhere if you go to the emergency room, the first thing they do is vital signs, and one is blood pressure. So you need to measure blood pressure properly, and the best way to measure blood pressure properly is to have your own personal machine, not the one in the pharmacy that may be, contaminated, but one that belongs to you and your family. So that should be something that my gift to everybody is for you to think about owning your own blood pressure machines. We can provide some at a discounted rate until they run out. But this is so important. So I think every Canadian should have a bicycle, a vegetable garden, a blood pressure machine, and a scale as bare necessities, and a thermometer, and then a water bottle would be some of the things to think about. So, so just think about it. Go ahead there, Judy.
Yeah. And exercise is also something that's very important. I know Dr. Kearney had mentioned there's no perfect time to start getting healthy, so you can't say, oh, I'm going to start next week or anything like that. Like right now is the best time to start getting healthy. I know Dr. Kearney also mentioned that he is very open for patients to be able to share their goals, maybe have like a very friendly little competition with Dr. Kearney. A little bit of competition is always good. And Dr. Kearney also did mention that he is actually exercising more, especially during COVID. I know a lot of people make excuses and a lot of people find themselves just sitting active. But he's actually losing more weight because mortality amongst COVID is actually higher in those with risk factors. And so being able to, maybe go outside, exercise for your health, and also for your heart is something that's always encouraged. And especially something else is become educated. And this is very, very important. And
so let's just stop there about exercise. So one of the things is that we all can walk or move. So my advice is run, fly. If you can't do that, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. Do something. To me, exercise is one of my forms of sanity. It's my release. My gym's closed too, and I'm kind of glad right now because I have a new life with the birds when I go biking. I have many conversations with people and tennis. So I wanted to thank Dino. Dino and I are going to be, and you saw a picture of him there playing squash. Is that or we didn't play, or we're playing tennis now. So please find a way of some form of activity. I know it's hard, but it's actually fun too as well. It's a great antidepressant. So that's a great step. Go ahead there, Judy.
yeah, it's also a good way to be able to interact with people distancing and doing something healthy. And you have so many resources that Dr. Kearney works so hard to be able to provide you guys. And obviously one of the webinars, please go onto YouTube and subscribe to Dr. Kearney's channel. We post these every week. And Dr. Kearney has a lovely book that was published and that is also available at the clinic. And so please purchase these or go onto the internet, find ways to educate yourself and to make health-oriented goals.
So, people say education is an important step. I think right now it's more important than ever. What I think we all found out is how much bad information is out there and how much information is changing. And you can look at scientific information, it's always changing. So we're living through a new era and certainly giving you the best form of education. So I spent about 30 years educating doctors, medical students, different students. My one number priority is to educate you, the people around me. So I'm really wanting people to participate, and we learn by discussion. So that's why we decided not to put a time limit to these presentations, to have time for discussions and open up. So please get your friends. Everybody should be learning. This is our team approach. You cannot do this by yourself. You need to work hard. And so what I will say is it took 25 years, a lot of procrastination, a lot of just rewriting for that 30 days to help you to come up from that. I was able to complete that book with the help of hundreds of people that made it possible. And what I'm pleased is all the funds of that go to help others. So to me, I look around the world and we can look at experience of different countries. So right now is the American approach is me first in many circumstances and individuals. They put a lot of importance to individual rights, and that's very important. Where a country like China will put societal rights above personal rights, and they have their advantages. So right now is that we're in an era where we have to value our own rights and help the rights of others right now, and so as long as I can keep going, is that my goal is to make everybody as healthy as possible and stronger than healthier. So I hear this statement, be safe. My answer is be stronger too as well, and help others become stronger. So let's look at that in some way. So take the time. Education takes a long time. You can see that with students being out of school right now, they suffered. Many of the patients I see are suffering because we have so much education available to you. Take advantage of it and come learn and share your experiences as well and share them with others. So I thank you, Judy. And one of the things is that the last CN Tower reclam, Judy had great pride in telling me she was faster up the CN Tower than I am. So that's great. Is that, but don't worry, Judy, I'm getting faster and slicker. So I'm going to give you a run for your money at some point in time. And so, but I just want to be healthier and help people get healthier over time. So, so please think about education as being a point. Learn from multiple sources. I'm not saying what I have to offer is right. I can say what I have to offer is over 30 to 40 years experience in this area, and I will give you my honest opinion. And I will also, if you want, give my brutal, honest opinion about your health too, if you really want to know, and I feel you can take it. I've, I'm kind of mad at many people for not being healthier right now, or not trying to be healthier, and just sort of giving in. I know it's hard, but you know what? We give, this expression, we got a lemon, we're making lemonade right now. And tonight we're making more lemonade.
And something else that I want to add to is with the CN Tower climb, it's nothing that I would have ever imagined doing, and I would have never done it myself. But, being able to share that experience with Dr. Kearney and some of the other patients and volunteers at the clinic, that gave me the motivation and the courage to be able to try something new. And also spending time with Dr. Kearney and just constantly talking about health and how important exercising is, and me being educated while working at the clinic, it's so much easier to be able to motivate yourself and find reason to exercise when you know why you're doing it and the benefits that it has to your body, and to be able to share maybe some tips and tricks with others. And so, yes, becoming educated is so important, and if possible, being able to share that experience with others.
Now, you mentioned the scale there. How often should you weigh yourself? That's kind of interesting. My wife thinks I'm obsessive about weighing myself. Yeah, I am obsessive about weighing myself. Right now is that if I don't weigh myself on a regular basis, and I weigh myself most days right now, but I'm not getting on my case about this. I'm not getting mad about it. I'm just using it as a tool to gauge my progress and how to get stronger right now. So, and every scale is different, and so weigh yourself consistently on a scale on a regular basis. So I think weighing yourself 3 or 4 times a week is not bad. I weigh myself most days, and I'm enjoying the competition about that with myself. I'm in no competition other than myself, and one of the things that really inspired me is my son Jordan. Jordan's lost 50 to 60 pounds, and he did it mostly with diet. So I always think you need to really diet to lose weight, and you need to exercise to maintain that weight. So you need that 1-2 combination. My mistake and my weakness is still nighttime eating, and it's something that I'm not proud of, but something I'm working at, and I'm just getting better at it, picking better things. I thank my wife for wonderful cooking and letting me eat plant-based eating while everybody eats something different. And also really encouraged me to play tennis at 5 in the morning. And sometimes just getting out of the house, going for that bike ride, and when I don't want to, and things of that nature as well. So you need a whole team to be healthier, and keeping track of your progress is so important. And really is that, your blood work, you should know what your blood results are when you can't available. So again, Paul's done that so well through Dynacare and Life Labs. Those things are available. We'll give you a hand if you want to learn how to use that technology, or other family members and friends can help you too as well. But getting educated means you have to work. I fall asleep on my computer many nights, actually every night, and I'm reading something, and I know when I'm falling asleep, I don't get that information by osmosis, so I have to go back and look at that later, and I have to repeat that many times. But one important message is, please be aware of the medications you're taking. Realize that each medication has at least 2 names. Know the dose when they're going to run out. The list that you get from the pharmacy or on the internet just tells you every side effect known to humankind. It doesn't mean it's really helpful about predicting medication side effects. So you have to work with your healthcare team to look at that. Pharmacists have ideas about that. I certainly have my ideas, and I'll be glad to share that with you. And you'll get different opinions. So let's move forward, and next slide.
Yeah. So some of the things that we are very used to hearing is, I don't have time to exercise, or I'm too lazy, especially right now. And then you know what the response is Dr. Kun saying, I am not accepting those excuses. And Dr. Kun, you actually introduced me to a really, really good TED Talk about time and being able to take control of your time. So if it's okay with everyone, we will just watch it quickly right now. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
There, see, now he's back.
Something, can you hear me?
Yep.
Something that I wanted to ask was actually to you, Dr. Kun. I know that you come to the clinic at 7 a.m., maybe even 6 a.m., and then you leave early as 7 a.m., and then sometimes you even stay until later. And so you're one of the people that I know, but you're also one of the healthiest. So I really want to ask you in terms of how you look at time and how you prioritize things.
You know, it's hard, and I think what this video illustrates is that you make time and you have to hit priorities. So and you know, so my number one priority usually is the clinic, but some other times it's my family, and then health and people around, and so to me is that I don't know, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. So one way I get more time is I average between 5 and 6 hours of sleep a night. And do I want more? Sure. Am I gonna get more? No. Can I function on that? Yes. I'm I surround myself with things that I try to pick the more important things. Now, you mentioned emails. I look at my email. I'm 5,000 emails behind. Will I ever catch up on that? No. I have people looking at my email, and somebody gets us. If you want to get a hold of me, email's not great. For some people, it works well. It's just that, and what's frustrating to me is when I see people say, I don't have time. And I think what this says is you choose the things that are most important. And one of to me is that, and I enjoy learning. I got to where I am is not because it's because I just want to work hard and I want to make a difference. And that's simple as that. And now I'm still a work in progress. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely yes. Am I afraid to try new things? No. The gift my dad gave me was the gift to try and to always do better. And so it's that simple. But really, you have to do it, and you have to be able to make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. The mistake most people is I'm afraid to try. That's the biggest mistake. What other people take away from this? Stuart, what do you take away from this this powerful TED Talk?
Yeah, I think I always feel like there's not enough time in the day, and I think I've taken on new things all the time, and whenever I do, I still seem to be able to take on the things that I had previously on my agenda, as well as still being able to take on the new things and do a good job at it. So, and not really compromise on either. I think it's just me prioritizing both of them and caring about all the things that I'm involved in, and caring about getting my daily exercise, and caring about getting my my work done, and talking to my friends whenever I, commitments with them. And it's just a matter of me being interested in these things, wanting to do it, and then finding time and being able to do it. It's amazing how it works.
What about you, Erica? What do you take away from this?
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to our perspective and what we prioritize, whether it's our health, our family, or whatever it may be. It's going to be based on our perspective of how we see, I guess, the world relative to our situation and the people we surround ourselves with. And so it goes back to having that social support and being able to have people who also want to grow with you and develop those or achieve those same goals.
Someone was saying that, is that what do you think of our political system? Said, well, we're not the states. Well, I don't want to compare myself to the states because that's the lowest denominator at this stage in their political problems right now. I want to compare myself to countries that are doing well and doing better. And we all can do better. And one of the things is that feeling good about putting other people's need about yours and getting pleasure from that. And there's a great pleasure from that. And how to get stronger. Judy, what do you take away from all this?
For me, I feel like I can really resonate from this. I feel that, especially in my undergrad, I would get really stressed looking at my calendar. My whole day would just be full. I used to say to myself, like, I feel like I don't have any time to myself. But then I realized it's because like my priorities were a bit unbalanced, and so I was putting all of my priorities into school. And the reason why I felt like I had no time for me was because I wasn't prioritizing myself as well. And so I feel that I was resonate with her when you say that time is reflective of our priorities. And so, especially this year, I really focused on myself, thinking about what really helps me to build and de-stress. And like, as a miracle, I was able to fit all of those into my schedule. And it's something that I really want to take forward into my future as well.
Oh, what do you take away from this?
Yeah, so I think
people what they think of the
I'm gonna get your yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. What do you think? Everybody, I want everybody's opinion. So
yeah, so I think that was Carl there. Carl, do you have what do you think about it?
So
Okay.
Carl's learning how to use all this new technology too as well. Good. So I love it. So Paul, what's your? I want to hear everybody's thoughts about
Yeah.
this.
So for me, it's funny because I think one of my something that I say the most is there's not enough time in a day, or I always wish I had extra time in a day. And reason for that is because I find that I literally want to do everything I can get my hands on. I just love doing everything. But the realism of it is that, like she mentioned in this TED Talk, you can't fit everything in a day and you have to learn to prioritize it. And that's something like Judy I struggled with earlier, but more recently I've been able to accommodate. Like nowadays I'm learning piano, which is not an easy task, but I am deciding to prioritize that by scheduling that in and including other responsibilities around that. That way I'm still able to make some progress on it. Um, and it is important, there's 160 hours in a day, she said. That's a lot of hours. A lot of us will say, I'm working 40 hours a week. Well, that still leaves you with 120 hours. Even if you're sleeping 8 hours a night, that's a third. So, sure, you can take out 50 hours for sleep. So 40 hours of work, 50 hours of sleep. That's 90 hours. You still have about 70 hours a week that you choose how to use. And obviously there's going to be things like cooking and chores. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there is still free time available in some sense or another. And obviously I'm generalizing it. Everyone's schedule is a little bit different. But you have to really decide how to use that free time, whether it's you want to watch TV or and then complain about not having time to exercise, or you actually do prioritize the exercise. You have to sort of decide on your own what a priority is for you, and you will be able to fit it in one way or another.
Right. So we all have the same amount of hours in a day. And what do you choose to prioritize? And one of the things that I find frustrating is I prioritize health, other people's health, my own health, and I feel frustrated when I see people don't put their health as a priority. I understand that. That's my problem. But what I see for so many people is that we spend the last 2 years of our lives usually in illness. And and at that time, I want to delay that for as long as I can. And being healthy, making steps now, prevents problems down the road. And so I'm not sure if anybody else wants to add to that equation, or we should just move on. But wonderful talk, and one of the responses from everyone. I found this a really good TED Talk. And so I take away is what I'm encouraging people is make one of your priorities your health. And that's important.
Is there anyone else who wants to share their opinion? No? If not, then we will continue. I'm sure there'll be time for discussion afterwards as well. And I really want you to keep the idea of priority in your mind. But just really quickly before, I just want to outline how the clinic right now has adapted to everything that's going on. And so looking specifically at your visit and what a visit with Dr. Creamer looks like right now. And so firstly, someone on our team will give you a call so that we can ask you the necessary information, specifically cardiology related questions, asking for the blood pressure, which I'm sure that you would have done before we call, asking for your weight, and always having your medications nearby so that when we double check it, you will have your medications right there in front of you because you are the expert in that field. And then afterwards, we will hang up, and I personally find that time as a chance for you to dedicate that time prioritizing your health and to educating yourself and being able to educate yourself and maybe brainstorming questions that you have regarding your health in your heart so that you can ask Dr. Kearney when he calls you later. And finally, Dr. Kearney will be giving you a call. All of your information into the system by our team, and so he has all of the information in front of him. He will review your blood work, your test results, and do the necessary prescription renewals and whatnot. And the idea of prioritizing, I guess, comes back again here. So this is something that Dr. Kearney said. Time is not my priority. I want to make sure that people are well treated. So if you consider yourself to be time sensitive, then Dr. Kearney is disease and prevention sensitive, and those are his priorities. And if he is not the doctor for you, and if there's discontent, then let me know, and we will work to manage and going forward with that. And something that we are going to implement at the clinic is, in terms of your appointment time, giving you a time range. So very similar to technicians who come to your house to fix whatever you need to get fixed. They don't know what their schedule is going to look like or what other emergencies would happen. And so they ask you to be available sometime during that time range. And so similarly, we will be doing that. And something that we will guarantee is that regardless, we will be giving you the call. Maybe it will just take a bit longer than what was expected, but he will be calling you. That's Dr. Kearney's main priority. Something that I really want to stress is that the testings are fixed though. So if you're scheduled for an echo, stress, and a Holter, it's very important that you do come on time. The space in our clinic is limited. And those are done by our technicians, and it's very important that you do keep your time for those tests. A very good tip is to book in the morning. There's less chance that Dr. Kearney will be behind due to emergencies, unforeseen circumstances. There are a lot of things that the clinic is adjusting to. We're getting phone calls 24/7, and so because of that, Dr. Kearney actually sees patients based on need. And so if time is something that you are very sensitive about, then we do recommend that you book in the morning. Yeah, being able to make health your priority. I know that Dr. Kearney can sometimes be very hard on you, be very straightforward, but it is because that he knows that you can do better. And it is something that we work on and we are fixing, but he is very straightforward and honest with that, and it is very important that you get the truth about your own health and being able to motivate yourself to do something about it. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, I think that's good in the sense of, it's hard to predict. So one of the things that, we're trying to manage both patients in the office, phone conversations, needs of so many. And right now is everything is happening in a different way, different pace, and we need to figure out solutions. So there are many times I call people, they're not available. And because for me to deal with you as a problem is I have to put you in my brain, put all that information in there. It takes time to put that in there. And if I call you and you're not there, um, uh, that's a wasted health moment for you and for somebody else. Um, um, I would be happy to work a lot less, but the need is great, and I've been here from 7 most mornings until about 9 most nights. Tomorrow's my day off. We're going to be calling about 20 people to see how they're doing. There's going to be some calling this weekend. Is that I'm happy to put the long hours in. I want to make sure people are getting what they need. People are afraid right now. People are trying to catch up now that COVID is sort of at bay for hopefully a long time, but may not be for that much longer. And so you're trying to balance all this in a new way of doing things. So I need you as individuals to be prepared, to be engaged, to want to be healthier, and to be honest and open. So if you don't want to work at your house, you can tell me why. And there's all good reasons sometimes. I understand that. But if you want to do work at your house, I'd love to work hard at with you. And when you say I don't have the time, is that the message is that you choose not to make the time to make this a priority for most of the time. Yes, it's hard, but this is important. And I think during that moment of time in between is that you can be doing something else. And one of the things I encourage you to do is go to YouTube, look at a video if you have a cholesterol problem. Look at hypertension if you have a cholesterol problem. Look at the diet if you want to think about intermittent fasting. There's really a lot of very powerful information that we've gathered over this while. So my great joy is trying to spread that to you. I keep saying I wish I can take my hard drive and plug into yours. I can give you a lot of plugins for information, and this is these moments of education and these moments of time, and this is a time for how to move forwards about this. Now, it's more convenient to talk on the phone, but it's less effective. And it's, physicians have developed a clinical judgment based on seeing people, talking to people, examining people. Just looking you in the face and seeing how you're doing is important. Also, I need you to be honest with me. So one of the things is that a conversation we had yesterday was with an individual who, yes, says I drink too much and I eat too much and I'm going to make these changes. And then as he's finished the conversation, all the plans he's going to make, he turns to his wife and uses the F word and things of that nature. The only thing he forgot to turn off his phone. So the things he said and the things he meant were two different things. So I'll tell you what I think is the most important thing for you, and I want to help you get stronger. It's important because illness will take over, and COVID will accelerate illness for people who are sick.
Yeah. And just a really quick thing over here. Just a hypothetical scenario. So Dr. Kearney has mentioned he is very busy at the clinic, and he does need time to put different information and pieces together. And let's imagine that you are on a spaceship and you have to navigate all of these different controls in order for the spaceship to properly lift off. And then all of a sudden, you're in the middle of calculating all of these things, and then your cell phone rings. What would happen? Your train of thought would be ruined. There are different information from different patients coming right at you, and you won't be able to make the proper judgment or proper calls. You'll mess up all the controls. And so something that Dr. Kearney just wants to ask from you is, please do not call his phone. He is probably dealing with another patient during that time, and if you call, it'll just interfere with that. So if you do have any concerns, please leave messages at our clinic phone. It is in message mode right now, but we do return those calls as soon as we can. Something else is sending an email. Also, Dr. Cooney did mention that he is okay with texts as well, as long as you leave your full name and your birthday, just so we can find you on the phone. And so he can look at your text and contact you after he has finished with the patient, just so we are able to make sure that we are able to focus all of our concentration on one patient at a time.
That's important, is that I understand that sometimes you have some important information to pass on. I'm trying to find better ways of communicating. So I certainly use my cell phone, and a lot of people, actually most of you know who my cell phone number is. Most people don't abuse that. But what I encourage you to do, if you have a concern, you have the clinic number, you have the drkernu@232gmail.com, and certainly a text is fine too as well. Saying, listen, I have this problem. I'm, so and so. Here's my date of birth. Here's my issue, and I will get back to you. Now, I can't be forgetful, so if you haven't heard back in a while, say in a couple hours, text it back. Number one, or number two is that if sometimes when you get called in the morning, the person says, "Can you call at 5 o'clock this afternoon?" That's probably a deadly sin for you, because I will probably forget to call you at 5 o'clock. Something else will take place. So if I'm calling you, try to take the time now as much as you can so we can solve your problem. Because as the day goes on, more problems take place, and it's just hard to do. And if you have a problem, I'll do the best I can. And sometimes I might forget too as well, and I consider myself kind of absent-minded and things of that nature. I need lots of reminders. I don't mind reminders. Do it nicely, do it gently, but do it in a positive way. I'm seeing people who make the world better, and I applaud that. And we all make the world better. I also see people that put their priorities above other people too as well, and that's important too. So how do you balance that? I'm of the opinion is that we have to make the world a better, safer place, and better for you and better for everybody else. And I'm always looking at better ways to improve. So I'm proud of the team approach that we have to do this. And I can't do it without everybody's input. And if it's always somebody else's fault, then nothing's going to go right for anything. I'm not really much in the blaming mode right now. I'm in the mode of getting things better and how do we make concrete solutions. I know sometimes it's hard to get through. People have issues, and when is the best time to call and how to get through and things of that nature. We're learning new ways, and I think we're getting better all the time. And I really think these Friday nights. So if anybody has any questions that they want to share about their health, any of these Friday nights, I'll answer as many as I can. I find most of the time there's lots of silence from people. So don't be afraid to pose questions. You can make them very general. Obviously, is that we want to make yourself healthy, other people healthier. So it's interesting is that I do have 4 computer screens, or sometimes 5 computer screens going simultaneously. I'm a person who never thought I'd own a computer in my lifetime, and I'm getting better at it because I need help. You remember at the start of this webinar, I had a problem, and I got some help to get back on track. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I like that picture there, Judy. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, so we're heading towards the end of our presentation. So after this, just gonna pose a few scenarios. I would really appreciate input maybe from people who aren't part of our team as well, and then we can go on to discussion. So I just want to say, moving forward and give you an idea of some of the things that our clinic is trying to implement, is looking at the possibility of video conferencing. So obviously it's not the same as an in-person visit. However, it is better than a phone call visit. And so if that is something that you are very interested in doing, it is something that we are looking into and trying to figure out with the help of others, as Dr. Kinney had mentioned, and being able to use our email to send blood requisitions and blood work. It's something that we're learning to do, and gradually now being used to implementations and public health guidelines, we are slowly starting to see patients in and out of office. And so being able to do the mandatory testing, and if there are very critical patients, being able to accommodate them into the clinic so that we are able to provide care for them in that way. And something that we just want to, a message that I just want to leave out there is that Dr. Kernew is very passionate and he does care for each and every one of his patients. And so he will see you no matter what. You just have to be patient, work with him, remind him, and just express how you want to see him. And I know that he will work and try his best to be able to accommodate that as best as possible.
So it's interesting. The wave of the future is going to be a combination of phone calls, maybe video conferencing, and in-person visits. They all have their pluses and minuses, and we're going to be able to mixture all that, the above. One of the things that lab requisition forms, that's become a nightmare at this stage. So what I'm going to tell you to do is, I can't say officially, but if you make 5 photocopies of your last requisition form for blood work and discuss what should be done and what shouldn't be done, I won't object to that. Trying to fax it to different labs, getting to the right place, or mailing out and things of that nature is a challenge. So if you have a requisition for blood work, my recommendation is to make 5 copies and then discuss with me how we should be using those, and what we need to add, take away from that, because that's important to get blood work at the right time. The lab, in some circumstances, can come to your place if you plan it in advance. You can book online, and it's sometimes harder. So getting that aspect of things right is a new challenge, and we'll find new solutions. It's something moving forward. Next slide there, Judy. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you having trouble with your?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
It's just cutting out a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to go over just a few scenarios and maybe generate a little bit of discussion. Okay. And so scenario number 1, it can be very popcorn style, like how you would respond to the situation, maybe what you would say, what you would do moving forward. So scenario number 1, you see a patient and they're saying, I'll make sure I exercise for next time, don't worry. What would you?
So the thoughts that are going through my head is, I haven't made exercise a priority in my life at this point in time. Lots going on in my life, and how to thinking and doing are 2 different things. So how do you turn that thinking to an action process? Anybody else?
Is there anyone else?
Okay, put the next scenario. We'll put a couple scenarios there. We'll get people. We'll rev up some discussion soon.
Okay, sorry, I think my computer is like coming in and out, and so I can't, it's a bit laggy. I'll just say the next scenario. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So scenario number 2, this patient consistently misses their echo appointments.
Or so they're missing their appointments on a regular basis. We spend a lot of time calling, notifying people. Now we're in an era right now where you can only have so many people in the office at a time. And missing a test appointment is really, in my mind, a cardinal sin, is that they're limited. There's not enough of them. An echo is booked for 45 minutes, a stress test between 30 to 40 minutes. If you're booked to have a Holter monitor and you don't bring it back the next day, someone may be coming to pick up that Holter monitor, needs to be washed, cleaned, data and analyzed. is that if I invite you or if you invite me to your place for dinner, I don't show up. That's terrible. And so if you're booked for a test and you don't show up, that's terrible. And it's happening too often. And so the reasons for that are multifold. But one of them is just simply notifying the clinic in a timely fashion. You're booked, we're often written down for you, you're called for reminders, and often, and so it really is demoralizing for the entire team when someone's ready for you and you're not there at the right time. Erica, what's your thoughts about that?
About missing appointments?
Yeah, so the appointments is not so bad with myself because I have more than enough to do. I understand that. But, when you're booked for an echo or a stress test or a Holter monitor and you miss, I mean, you don't want to miss anything, but those are key opportunities. Someone is booked 45 minutes to do a test on you and you're not there. What's your thoughts? And you didn't call to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
You're reminded.
Definitely. I think that's where you kind of have to think about others as well. For sure, yourself would be the priority, and I'd hope that. But at the same time, we want to be accommodating of other people's schedules, not only yours, of course, but our techs, other patients who could have had the chance to test during that time period. And so it's just being considerate of others, I would say.
Yeah.
Something else that I want to add too is that our clinic had a period where it was closed down. And so we are actually backed up. And so it's now more important than ever. We have a lot of patients who call and they do want to get the testing done. But if you're booked and you don't show up, then that's a very precious spot and time that could have wasted and used on another patient.
Okay. What's patient number 3?
Patient number 3. Oh, oopsies. How do I?
So, part of me thinks, is that, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. This patient is saying, I don't really know what this appointment is for.
Okay, so people are booked. Sometimes a family doctor sends you in. Sometimes we want to book for follow-up. One of the things is that I like to make a diagnosis. What's wrong with you? Do you have heart disease? How much heart disease? What type you have? And how do we prevent it from getting worse or stabilize the condition? A lot of times I see people, they're in the hospital. I saw a guy today who was in the hospital for 14 days. He says his doctors didn't tell him anything. I find that hard to believe. You're in a hospital for 14 days and no one told you anything. I'm sure they told him something. And now we have access to some information. I understand communication can be challenged, but communication is a two-way streak at this stage. And so we're always looking ways to improve. And that person actually was very sick, and his blood pressure was 90, his pulse was 30 beats per minute. That person took an hour of our time today, which is fine to give, but he was basically didn't have an appointment. He wasn't feeling well, so we brought him in. So it was sort of like your basement flooded. We found that hour that he needed at that point in time, and we're glad to do that for just about anybody when we can. But that involves is that you, the person who is healthier, will have to wait or be delayed in some way, and this happens many times. And so, how to fix some of these situations? Does anybody have any thoughts about this? Is that medicine is not a 9-to-5 job. Medicine has to be around when you need it the most, and that's a privilege to be able to provide services that period of time. So I feel lucky I can do this, and but I want people to realize that you need you to be actively involved in your health and give as much information, or have people around you that can help provide the information, either from language, cultural, also your belief system. I had this guy that called me up on my cell phone yesterday saying that I want a letter saying I shouldn't have to wear a mask, and so obviously it takes time to discuss, but really he didn't really want to discuss. He had his mind made up. He wasn't interested in facts. So it took 15 minutes to realize that he wasn't interested in information. He just wanted to tell me I should write a letter. I didn't write him that letter. So those are the things to think about. And the reason I wear a mask is to protect as many people as I can, and mostly to protect others. And I would feel terrible if I made anybody sick. And so we put lots of process involved to try to keep everybody safe as possible. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah. Also something that I also want to stress is it goes back to the theme of being able to take control of your own health. Like that time slot is time slot that's allotted to you, and Dr. Creamy is giving you his time. And so being able to have questions ready and being able to ask them, having very clear goals, like I'll make sure I exercise. Well, how are you going to exercise? What goals will you have for the next time? I don't really know what this appointment is for. Well, have goals for what you want to get out of each appointment. And doing that will make the time and discussion with Dr. Kearney that much more valuable.
And if we can't solve it that time, we'll find another time. I'll call you at 6 in the morning if you want, or different times, and I'll call you on the weekend, and we'll be into clinic when you need to be there. But I just find it so demoralizing if you're booked and you're not available, and especially if you don't come in for a test. It's just you don't know how that just takes the wind out of my sail and everybody around. It's like that was a waste of your time if you didn't want to have the test. So tell it if you don't want to have the test, but tell us well in advance. It's sort of like I'll never forget this one person about a month or so ago called me up and said he having some chest pains and he wasn't feeling well. I said, okay, we'll bring you in first thing tomorrow to do a stress test and an ultrasound test. He thought he had a heart attack the day before and he didn't want to go to the hospital. So he booked the first patient. The next morning, the text come in early. Well, he decided it was too hot for him to exercise that day, and that he didn't want to wear a mask coming to the clinic. And then he said he came to the front door and decided to give a phone call saying that he didn't want to do that. Well, you know what? He made people come in early for him, and no one's checking the phone at that hour of the day because we're screening patients, looking after patients at the door. And for some reason, I was the worst human being in the world for asking why he didn't come or stay, or really tell me why he didn't have his test. So I don't know what to say about that, but it's certainly not something I would feel very proud of if I were in his shoes. And it's something that we have to think about others and how we react and how we affect people. So if I say things that are offensive to you, I don't mean to be offensive. I'm just trying to be helpful, and I appreciate your honesty and openness. But we have a whole team working to get you healthier, and let's do it. And from these educational sessions that not enough of people are taking active interest right now. I understand you're busy, but you only have one health, one life, and you got to make the best of it.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the chat over here, and John just typed, my answer to this is to say, patient name, if you think that you know more than I do, then you're in the wrong office and being taken care of by the wrong physician. I'd be glad to give you the name of another physician in my field. Be pleased to refer you to him or her for your continuing care. I think that's really good.
Yeah. So to me, if we don't want to have a long-term relationship, that's fine. Let me know, and so we can have a finishing conversation, so I can at least give you the best information I have about you, whether or not you want it or not. I would like to tell you what I think and some options for you. I may not be the right option for you, but I'd like to know that, I want to terminate if we need to terminate on a positive note that gives you the best opportunity, what's best for your health. And I appreciate your input. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'd be curious to see what people think about this. If you did not show up for one of the tests that you were scheduled for and you didn't give proper notification, should you be responsible for the cost of that test? Instead of myself paying the expenses of the clinic, I will take that, whatever the cost of that test is, and I will donate it to a number of charities that we can pick, and I will actually double that, because one of the things I feel important is to help others. And so, but I'm really get upset when people take advantage of people trying to be helpful to you, and you didn't have the ability to call and let us know. Now, there could be all sorts of reasons. You're sick, you can't figure out the number, you have these medical issues. I'll never penalize people for that, but is that many times as people choose for whatever reason not to notify people. That doesn't happen a lot, but it happens way too much. And I'm trying to figure, I want to give people the service that they require when they need it at the right time. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are about some sort of policy like that, Judy. I'll just pass that to you. What do you think about that policy? Is it something we should explore or not? Is it the right thing to do or not? I mean, I'm not, and I won't be forceful to that. I'm not going to hold people to anything, but that's something that, is that my suggestion is that this is something we might think about. I don't know.
I'm looking at the chat, and John is saying that might be unethical or illegal. I don't really know what the policies are, so yeah.
But what's your thoughts about that, Erica? Because you've been to Africa, you've seen what orphanages go through and have a lot less than we do. If you decide not to give a resource that was dedicated to you here, let's give that resource to somebody else. And the best thing to do is we'll give a gift to a country that needs it more. So I heard something like this. It takes about $40,000 to train a dog for someone who's blind. For that amount of money, you can save, you can do many cataract or eye surgeries in Africa and restore sight to many more people that same money. So I'm thinking about how, we're all in it together, how we can redistribute that. So if I make a mistake, I will donate to the charity of your choice. If you make a mistake, you should donate to a charity any charity from my perspective. I'm not saying it's written in stone, but something I like to just talk about a little bit more.
Yeah, I really support that intention. I think a lot of money that is spent could definitely be reallocated to better things, like your example that you provided. I'm not too familiar with the policies either that are in place now, but I think definitely finding a better way to use our money in general would be ideal, and that's maybe one step that we could hopefully do it.
Mm-hmm. So I think the bottom line is that first is that think about your health. That's important to you. If you don't want something, cancel well in advance so we can find somebody who wants to use that resource. And for most situations, it's not that hard to cancel something if you don't want. But I think there's so much that we're learning right now, and I want to be positive about things, but it's really, we're now in an era where your health is a priority, and keep learning, keep moving forward. What's the next slide? Okay, so those are the things that we just talked. We can move the next slide there as well. We can pass up on that too. These are things that we talked about. Is that I feel bad sometimes when people don't return equipment that they had, like a Holter monitor, and I really feel bad today. For instance, someone was supposed to get a Holter monitor. Someone said they're going to bring their Holter monitor at 2 o'clock. We're going to clean it so a person can put on at 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, the person never brought back the Holter monitor, and this person came in at 3 o'clock and we had no Holter monitor to put on. And so, you know, the things that just happen, I think happen for all sorts of reasons. So I just want people to realize is that we want the best for everybody. So Judy, what's some of the take-home messages today?
Yeah, so just a few things to leave off this discussion is being precise with your medications, knowing what you're taking, being able to invest in your own health, and that also means getting the necessary equipment to do so, and then taking advantage of your visits. So educating yourself and using Dr. Kernew as a resource. And finally, just knowing that our team is working very hard behind the scenes at the clinic. I know that Jen and Steph, Lily and Rabina, they're all working really hard, and they're turning their minds every day to just see what we can do better, what we can do differently, what we can do to make the system go even more smoothly. And I really, as someone who just works at the clinic, I can really see that, and I really admire the amount of dedication that they put into the clinic. And so just knowing that we are on your side, we do want you to get better. We want to make things better for you. And so, and obviously, if you have any feedback, then please don't hesitate to provide that for us. And thank you.
So I want to thank a number of people. One, Judy, thank you for putting all this together. Stuart, thanks for taking over the show. I also want to thank you as our patients who give us confidence every day to do a good job, and we're working very hard to get better. I'm very proud of the people that work here. One person that worth mentioning is Trisha. She's behind the scenes, and she's spent a lot of time trying to figure out. So it takes a whole army of people to keep you healthy and get you out here. We need you to be part of the team, and through from education to just sort of thinking about what your needs are and how to try different things. One of my heroes right now is Elon Musk, and he says, you know, don't be afraid to work hard and to fail big. So I want you to try new things to be healthier. So when it comes to diet, for instance, you know, is that you want to try intermittent fasting? Do you want to try plant-based eating? Do you want to try a high-fat or a keto diet? There's different ways of doing that, and I'm learning a lot about all that. I know a lot about the medications and how to diagnose heart disease. And I'd like to share that with you. But I've learned a lot from all these young people, and one of the great things is Judy's been with us for some time now, and she's going to be starting medical school in Toronto in September. And so, Judy, we want to applaud you for your new beginning, and thank you for your years at the clinic. You're seeing Paul too is going to be starting medical school here at McMaster. And one day I hope you'll come take over the clinic and work in the clinic, and you're always welcome to work there. Erica's going off to a career in just helping people. She's helped me so much with her. She's one of my personal counselors, like in Star Trek. And where I said to Erica, one day we're going to go to Africa or someplace together. And we're going to do something special there. And so I owe you that trip one day. Paul, we're going to climb the CN Tower till I'm 100. Stuart, you're just going to take over the world. And look at the people still on the line here is that thank you. Please take everything and learn. Is there any comments from anybody at all?
Yeah, so I have a question from a patient. They're just asking, is there a special time to take medication? Evening, after food, or eating with food?
So certain medications, it doesn't matter. So one pill, for instance, thyroid medications need to be taken on an empty stomach with just a little bit of water, no other medication. So that's one pill. Cholesterol pills traditionally we give at nighttime, but doesn't really matter because we have these new longer acting pills. Crestor and Lipitor have very long half-lives. It doesn't matter. You can take it with just about anything. One of the things that we're learning is that taking blood pressure pills at nighttime might be a better choice compared to the daytime. Also, too, is that some people are taking multiple blood pressure pills. You need to split them up more than, if you're taking more than 2 pills. they should all be taken at different times. And you have to judge yourself if that, if you're dizzy at certain times, we have to adjust your pills. And sometimes blood pressure is higher in the morning, so we'll target blood pressure pills at nighttime or vice versa. So there's a way of working at that together. For a lot of diabetic pills, for instance, is that we give them in the morning time because your blood sugar will surge during the daytime. For insulin therapy, we often give them before bedtime, some long-acting insulins. So there's a whole science and art to that. But one thing you have to remember is to take them. And sometimes, the ideal time should be when you remember to take them. So we have to find a schedule that fits with that. So that's a wonderful question. No simple answer, but those are some pearls there as well.
Because it's specific, maybe that's something that you can ask Dr. Cream so you can look at your specific medication chart. And there's also another question from Carmen and Mike. What type of video conferencing are you considering for your patient calls? Zoom calls, Skype, WebEx?
Yeah, sure. So there's something called Medios, which is a form of Zoom or WebEx. It's a secure platform that requires you is to check in. You need email for that. You have to have a computer with that has a camera on it, and we're starting to play around a little bit with that. So and you need to have fast enough internet to support that. So the answer is that I think that's coming. Most people are just doing phone calls. We've done a little bit of work with that. We're not ready for that just yet, but I think we're going to work on that. So Connor is one of the people behind the scenes that has been helpful. He knows how to use it. He's tried to help me use it yet. I still can't use it yet, but we're getting better at that. So the answer is that we're evolving. My preference is to see people in person if I had a choice. I think for certain things you can have a combination with phone calls, and for some people a modified secure platform of Zoom may be something that we'll be offering shortly, but we'll have to wait and see how that evolves. I think the answer is that it's moving forward. Also, it depends what the government allows us to do. One thing I have to say is that I think everyone's taken off guard, and we've all been talking about virtual medicine. It's now being forced upon us. But you know what? I think we're getting better at it, and I'm trying to figure out is to communicate at the person at the right place and right time. And sometimes we're missing people. You're trying to call us, and we're trying to call you, and we're missing. So how do we make those misses happen less often? Is something that I don't have an immediate answer right now, but we understand the problem. I think we're better at that. So I think what you said, Judy, is that when the repairman's coming to your home, is that you leave a amount of time that they're saying they're coming between 7 and 1. I don't know about you, is that there's many times when the delivery person comes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just glad to see them that day because I really wanted them to get there. But I also know when my basement's flooded and we had a fire in our house, the fire department was at my house before I was there. So we have to look at the fires and all the different things and put that together. So we're figuring this out, and I think we've been flexible enough about that. And I admire the people in the office. I admire Jen, who's taken on a responsibility to. She's our COVID police, and if there's too many people, she'll shoot you, make you leave at the right time, to allow people in at the right time, and she's done a fantastic job about that, keeping all safe and things of that nature as well. So we're learning, we're getting better, and I think you're also getting better educated. So you need to be more educated. So long answer, simple question. The answer is that we're looking at that. Some of the things is I find just sometimes just texting me pictures sometimes of of a rash or how swollen your legs are and things of that nature as well. What I don't want to hear is that what's your blood pressure? It's good. What's your weight? It's good. What pills are you taking? The same as last time. Well, we're asking for problems with answers like that. So my blood pressure is 132 over 72, 125 over 75, and it's 120 over 80. And my average over the last 3 weeks with about 30 blood pressure readings is 122 over 75, pulse is 75. And I'm consistently at 165 pounds. and I'm going to be running out of my Crestor in about 45 days. My last LDL cholesterol that I had at Dynacare Life Lab showed an LDL cholesterol of 1. My ALT is 22, and should I still take my aspirin pill or not? Those are wonderful visits, so you can move forward and figure that part out, and we can talk about that. Other things that are important to me is that I had a nuclear medicine study at the Hamilton General Hospital 2 weeks ago. Do you have that result available for me? I had an echocardiogram a year ago at your office because I had Eric stenosis. Do I need another one at this stage? Wonderful conversations. You can see that interaction. It's so much better. Sadly, is that someone may have had a chest X-ray done 6 months ago because of a cough, and was ordered by some doctor, and they didn't get a phone call. They didn't know the results. So no results is no results, and that turns out to be lung cancer that was missed. So if you had a test, ask the results, and don't assume if you don't know that's normal. No news is no news. So these are ways that we can all work together. See how much more powerful it is when we're on the same page. And again, if you can't make a test or you don't want to test, let me know. And if you need something, let me know too, and I'll try to figure.
Okay.
So this was actually supposed to be the shortest presentation of all with the shortest amount of slides. As you can see, this created a lot of discussion, a lot from myself and the rest of the team. Again, I want to bid everybody a great night, and those who want to, we're playing tennis at 6:30 tomorrow morning, going for a bike ride at 11 o'clock at Linden Park. In about a half an hour from now, I'm going to be doing the Shadok stairs if anybody wants to walk up. And again, the best time to exercise is first thing in the morning, end of day, where not many people around. Being outside is much safer than being indoors for getting sick. So that's how I look at that. And hopefully it'll be a pound or two lighter next week. We'll see what happens. Or it might be a pound or two heavier, but that's okay too. Stuart, you get the last word.
Oh boy, I think today was a really fantastic presentation. I really think you really nailed it. I learned a lot. I think your slides are really beautiful as well, and I think you helped us engage in some really nice discussions. I think there's a lot of takeaway messages here, both with working with your doctor and working with yourself. Always trying to get better every single day, and so I think I've been inspired a little bit. I think I'm going to try to be a little bit more active than what I've been over the last month or so, and I think I'm just excited for next week's opportunity to continue to learn as well. So.
Thanks so much. And Judy, thank you for those wonderful slides. And please invite friends. Everybody is welcome to these webinars. Remember, they're all recorded. I go back and look at them multiple times, and I keep learning. I bid you everybody a good night, and we'll see you all soon. And good night, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.